Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of New to Weeaboo. This is number 101 for July 12th, 2023. I am Nemesis and I'm joined by Alcatraz.
Hello.
Let's see, a couple things happened in the last few weeks anime-wise. Of course, Anime Expo happened. Of course, it was still ridiculously overcrowded and still dangerous amounts of carbon dioxide in the dealer room and all that stuff. But hey, you know, what's crowd control?
Yep.
Right? Anyway, but yeah, a couple of announcements have popped up in the last couple of weeks. Let's see, most recent one is actually Yuru Camp Season 3 has been announced with a new animation team.
Woo!
That's the thing. Let's see, they did a trailer. Trigger showed off a trailer for new Pantene stocking, as they call it. So Season 2 of that, essentially.
And that'll definitely be interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they've also announced they now actually have full ownership of Pantene stocking and Gurren Lagann.
Yep, that's because that's been a thing.
Yeah,
that
they had partial ownership, now they have full ownership. Season 2 of Oshinoko got announced because that's
pretty obvious that it
it's
would.
kind of one of those like, yeah, it's going to get Season 2.
Be more surprising.
It's very popular. I mean, OP is a massive song, so it's just high popularity there. Oh, weird thing was Calliope Mori's going to be part of One Piece.
All right.
Yep. She's making a song for them as an official thing. She also got an outfit based on One Piece, so there's that. Beyond that stuff, of course, my personal thing, Wheelhouse, Love Live.
Yep.
Love Live stuff. Let's see. They announced the Ninjagaseki will get 3 movies next year, a trilogy of movies to continue the thing. Genjutsu no Yohane, which was supposed to start airing like this week, I believe, or next week, is actually started airing early on one channel. It's one of those weird things where one channel gets and one streaming service in Japan gets it exclusively early, and so is Crunchyroll. Everyone else has to wait. So it's that's a weird thing, but yeah, it started already, and of course I've been watching it, and yes, I'm enjoying it. It's Yohane.
Yohane.
It's Yohane. She's actually Yohane.
Yep.
I've been enjoying that, and of course, related to that as well, they confirmed the April Fool's joke from this year, which is the little side-scrolling Yohane game there is actually real, and pre-orders are available, and it's coming out this November. And it's made by a big-name team who actually have a pedigree because they've worked on things like Mega Man 9 and 10. So yeah, it looks like it's going to be I'm very much looking forward to that one. Because I'm getting a Love Live game that's not a mobile gacha game.
Is it a gacha? Wow, those are a rare breed nowadays.
And there's a PS4 game, but that's just, a game just loaded with microtransactions instead of gacha.
Yeah, it's like your two choices are microtransactions in one form or another.
Yeah. Yeah, so getting an actual like pixel art side-scrolling game, and it's like, oh, cool. Who plays Yohane? I'm very excited for that. Yep, beyond that, in general, summer season has started, and we're getting those, because now that, spring has ended.
Yes, summer is here.
Summer's here, the summer season's here, and stuff's starting off, and we'll get to that soonish. Just gotta wait for, episodes to come out so we can actually watch them.
Yep, it's shaping up. I think it's going to be an interesting season. We'll see which kind of interesting.
Apparently, from what I've seen, though, unfortunately, the streak has been broken. There is no specific Yuri anime this season.
Aww.
The streak has been broken. All we got now is we're back to subtext. But I'm in Love with the Villainous comes out in October, so don't forget.
We'll come back to that one then.
No, not that. You're thinking of My Next Life as a Villainous. I'm in love with the Villainous.
Yeah.
My Love with the Villainous is a different thing.
Yeah, that is a different. Someone Child, different one, and you still have all the books.
Yes, I do. So there's that. But anyway, we're here to talk about something else. Like we said last week, we are talking about Mobile Suit Gundam: The Witch from Mercury, the newest Gundam series, which just concluded a little bit ago. It's definitely one that a lot of people are talking about because, it was kind of one of the big things. It's a new Gundam, of course, people are talking about it. And I guess before we get into the nitty-gritty of it, it is worth watching.
Yes.
For sure.
It is really good, and it's definitely worth it.
And I'll just say this as well. Also, some people I noticed were holding out because they didn't want to be burned by it. Don't worry. I think those kind of people will get their what they want. So that's just go ahead, and if you haven't already, go watch it. It's worth a watch. It's all 25 episodes and whatnot, and then try to hold yourself back from buying some of the merchandise.
Or don't.
Or
we're not your mother.
Yeah. But getting into this, The Witch from Mercury. Yeah, again, the newest Mobile Suit anime. We've only watched beyond this one other Gundam, which was the original.
The original.
Kind of. We watched the compilation thing, which again, some people argue you should watch the whole series. No. I will not. But yeah, it's the newest iteration of the Mobile Suit Gundam, and it's also apparently a new AU, because they officially call them those.
Yeah.
It's a whole new one, because there's wonders, and it became pretty clear when you watch it, it's a whole new thing. And there's also the whole thing, by the way. Also, watch the prequel, episode 0, because if you don't, you're going to be really confused later down the line.
Yep.
If you don't watch, you're going to... Yeah. The beginning prequel episode is, there's the whole company trying to, do this Creatures of the Gundam thing, and they're doing medical stuff, but they also wound up using it for mobile suits, and then it gets shut down because Gundams are dangerous, because they kill their pilots and everything, and then... almost everyone's killed except for, a woman and her daughter. And then we fast forward many years, and then, Suletta Mercury is going to high school, and she winds up bumbling her way into meeting Miorine Rembrandt. Winds up accidentally becoming her groom through a duel. Whoops. And then there's various school adventures, and they have to deal with, discrimination from, whatnot, or just general difficulties with other pilots. And then everything goes to hell, and now they're having to deal with the whole actual, oh, by the way, there's this whole thing, Quiet Zero, and they have to, and Suletta deals with some crap, some very, very horrible crap with her family, and Miri's crap family, and so on and so forth. That's basically the gist of it.
Lots of trauma.
And then everything ends up happy in the end.
Things get resolved.
Yeah. In the prequel episode, there was... Elnora Samaya. So yeah, the thing was about the Elnora Samaya and Nadim Samaya, their husband and wife, they have a daughter named Eri. And yeah, she's like a little 4-year-old child, and they're also developed the Cold Gundam thing and whatnot. And then they're under attack. That's the whole thing. There. Also, Elnora has a artificial arm, thanks to their their technology, their whole Gundam technology,
gun format.
Yeah, gun format, that sort of thing. The gun format technology.
Yep.
So yeah, they have that whole thing, and it turns out Eri, they've been trying to do this whole thing.
The gun format used for these things at a certain point, if you connect with it too much, it will start to kill you with the data thing about a data storm.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting into.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a whole thing there where they have the levels and whatnot. They're trying to get to different levels, and that's what Elnora's been trying to do. That's all Opus. She's trying to get to a certain level she can't connect, and then, hey, surprise, Eri does it, and with no ill effects. At least seemingly no ill effects. But they're able to escape because of that. Eri's able to interface and defend herself, and yeah, as a 4-year-old has a body count.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah, but unfortunately, her dad dies.
Yep.
There's a whole thing with the Happy Birthday song too.
Yeah.
So everyone now is like, oh god. A lot of people watch Witch from Mercury when they hear Happy Birthday are going to have a bit of a flashbacks.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, that's that. And then there's that. But then you can jump to the first episode jumps to many years later where you got Suletta Mercury, who looks a lot like Eri there, right? Okay, makes sense.
Grown up Eri,
and he has a mother named Prospera, who wears a helmet. Is very much the Char clone.
Yep.
Because that's the thing. That's apparently very much a recurring thing in Gundam. But anyway, Suletta she is awkward. She is clumsy. She is timid.
She's bubbly.
She's a little naive as well.
A little.
She is because she lives on Mercury.
Yep.
Wow. What a shock.
Yeah.
But anyway, she's coming here to the school called Asacacia.
It's
School
a
of
fun
Technology.
One. Yes.
And she's here for the pilot track. She's a mobile suit pilot. She has her own mobile suit named Ariel, who she sees as her sister. And then there's Miorine Rembrandt. She runs into her because she's floating out into space. It turns out she's trying to escape the school because her father, who by the way was also responsible for the people dying in episode 0.
Spoilers! Wow.
Yeah, spoilers for the first episode. Yeah. She runs into Miorine, who's trying to escape because her father is a controlling jerk.
Yep.
Including setting up a whole system where she's forced to get married to someone who she doesn't really care about that much. based on just their piloting skills, which, yeah, that's the greatest way to find a good husband, right?
Not just their piloting skills. Remember the whole dual thing? Not by pilot skill alone, nor by yeah. Anyway, continue.
Shut up. Anyway. So yeah, Mirene is very much a very openly antagonistic, closed off person. Openly antagonistic for everyone, so that they don't have to get close, so they never get close to her.
Mm-hmm.
She's, let's see how to put this.
How do you?
She's got a chip on her shoulder because of her dad.
Rightfully so.
Yeah. She pushes people away. She's seems to come off very angry and cold, or cold depending on the situation. And seems to be the only person who's surprised who could thaw her out is Suletta. Yeah, because what happens is the whole dueling system. Because she is currently engaged to Guel Cheturk, who's very much a hotshot pilot guy, but very much full of himself, believes his own hype, all that stuff.
Yep.
And then here comes Suletta and just kicks his butt. And he's like, what?
Without even really trying. Just kind of wipes the floor with him.
Yeah, and so Suletta becomes the new holder. According to the duel system, which means, what does that mean? That means Suletta is now Mirene's groom. And that's how that works. Yeah. And that's the thing about it is like, duels, grooms, and brides? Something about this seems very familiar.
Also, the duel, yes, in order to win the duel, you have to take out one particular part of the other person. That's how the duel ends.
This is the little head crest on the mobile suit.
Yeah, I think the subtitles call it antenna, whether they actually are. Whatever.
But anyway.
It's like,
Yeah. Something becomes very apparent as you watch it, which, this borrows heavily from Revolutionary Girl Utena.
Yep.
Gee, it's almost like I planned this or something.
It's almost, yeah. What a coincidence.
Yeah, what a coincidence. So you can see very clearly there's a lot, and apparently there's a bit of a connection to apparently some of the people who worked on this also worked on Utena. It's like, oh, that's why. That explains everything. But yeah, so you had the dueling system, the whole, oh, hey, 2 girls engaged now, and all that stuff. And of course it takes place in a school. And there's multiple like male characters and whatnot, vying to be the next holder.
Yep.
And so on and so forth. So there's that thing. Also, there's one other thing that you kind of somewhat, if you look at it sideways, so kind of connects. But yeah, there's also a character. Both of them are the character named Choo Choo. We'll get into Choo Choo later.
Choo Choo.
The other big inspiration for Witch from Mercury is Shakespeare's The Tempest. That it shares a lot in common with that, including character names. Character Prospero becomes Prospera. There's a mobile suit called Caliban, which takes its name from the sword Caliban in The Tempest. And just the general vibe of it, which is Shakespeare had a very specific kind of writing he did, which is he would set things up. Like in the background, he'd set up he'd put the setting out, and he wouldn't really get into the setting too much. It was just there solely to give the audience the idea of why the characters are the way they are. And we see that here. There's a lot of stuff going on in the background of this. There's I guess Earthians and Spacians, or people who, pretty much grew up on Earth and people who grew up out in space. And it's pretty much, in this version of things, basically the billionaires were able to successfully leave Earth and leave it as a, trash hole. And exploit it for resources, but while they live comfortably out in space. A lot about, in this story, we see a very hyper-capitalistic society has taken shape. Mm-hmm. And we see how miserable it makes people. So it's like, commentary, brief commentary, and that's kind of just the background, though, because it's not really, talked about super at length, per se. There's definitely conversations and stuff that happen in this, but it's mostly there to serve to
move the rest of the plot forward.
Not to the plot. It's there to serve as to shape the characters. Why the characters are the way they are. Why is Choo Choo so angry? Why is Choo Choo so angry and yell at Spacians a lot? Because she's an Earthian who grew up in a poor and and often discriminated against. Suletta is not much treated much differently. Even though she is technically a Spacian. She grew up on Mercury, which is kind of seen as a backwater planet because Mercury is a place that was colonized initially because they found a permit there. Permit is what they use to for pretty much everything.
Yeah, it's the MacGuffin magic.
It's the magic material. It's the unobtainium.
Yeah.
They found it on Mercury, but the thing was they found it on the moon. And the moon is much closer to Earth, though it's much cheaper to get there. So now Mercury is kind of this backwater planet where there's an existing colony. It's like people there grow up poor as well. I mean, the one thing Soletta has talked about, there's not even school on Mercury. And one of her dreams is to open a school on Mercury, although things shift as time goes on.
Right.
So there's that. But then you got, Miorine, who's being the daughter of Delling Rembrandt, who is the head of this massive company.
Yeah, the Benneret Group.
Yeah. He's the head of that. So, like, because of that, she's more or less, kind of seen as, she is she's the princess. She's born with a silver spoon in her mouth, has, never had really necessarily want for anything. Everything she ever wanted, she could have, essentially, except, well, of course, it's the girl,
Freedom.
stuck with a controlling father who won't actually let her do what she wants.
Yeah.
So she had lost her mother, and this whole thing was her mother was like growing tomatoes, and so she grows tomatoes, and yeah.
Tomatoes are a thing.
Yeah. So yeah, it's if you see how we see this is what it does. It's like, and that's a Shakespearean thing, and that was one thing I noticed when seeing people's reactions. A lot of people got laser focused on that stuff. The whole politics with the Earthians and Spatians stuff, that's set dressing.
It's important and critical, but it's not the main.
By the end of the
point.
series, it's not really addressed or resolved in any meaningful way. It's like it's still a thing. There is still discrimination. That none of that has been solved or remotely. They haven't really even taken any real big steps to solve it. And even that's what little they have done. There's a whole cynical. It's going to be undone real quick anyway. But like. A lot of people are going to expect. I remember seeing this when we were getting the last few episodes. Like, there's not a lot of time left. They got to solve this, and this, and like, no, they don't. That's not the focus. They're not talking about the old Earthian Spatian conflict.
No,
that's not the focus. The focus is Soletta and Miorine.
Yeah, I think
they got so laser focused on the set dressing they forgot it was set dressing.
Yeah, I think I have some theories as to why.
Well, it's all of it's just because nerds are nerds.
Well, that too, but there's some more specific ones as well. I'm not certain.
I know there's one other thing. Media literacy is dead.
Well, that too.
You have to explain everything in detail, or else And if you ever put something, it has to be dealt with in some way. If you ever put it in front of the audience, it has to be discussed with it at length by the characters. Unless otherwise,
And that one is and that one's multifaceted too, as to why that's a thing. But yeah, we can jump into those later if we need to.
Yeah, that was the thing I was noticing. It was somewhat like some people were getting really upset when it's like they're not dealing with this, and it's like, why did you think? And some people actually were assuming there's going to be a third season, and it's pretty clear that's not the case. They've made it very clear that this is the end of Soletta Miorine's story. They made that very clear. But like a lot of people are assuming that they know. And on top of that, there's a whole expectation. A lot of Gundam goes to 50-something episodes. They're expecting the same for this. And it's like that actually hasn't been a thing for a while. And it's like people are like, you kind of accept that maybe the 50-something episode anime is dead.
Yeah,
it's kind of expensive, and turns out it's not working anymore.
Yeah, very few. You don't want every series to go on that long.
No,
very few shows, series, or whatnot really can go on for that long without starting to overstay their welcome. You start getting issues where you've run into the edges of your story, and now you're stretching things or repeating yourself, or just too much filler,
or you're repeating yourself,
or yes. You have to have a story that is designed to be able to do that, but even then you're going to run into issues.
Right.
So yeah, let go of the 50 plus episode requirement. It's unnecessary.
Yeah, so it was just one of those things. It's like, because that's one thing I noticed was a common thing, which was a lot of people felt like the season 2 was a bit rushed. Kind of.
I think not. It's not the part I think rushed isn't so much season 2, but the more the ending. Yeah. The last few episodes, like the last half of season 2,
they blew through plot points real fast.
Yeah, they did it did start getting a little messy in the end, and things kind of got rushed. There may have been a few plot points that would have been nice to have been resolved, but the main ones did.
Yeah, everything that was important to the main story they're telling did more or less get resolved. May not be the way you wanted to be resolved, but got resolved.
Yeah.
Let's just say that. But yeah, other characters we haven't even talked about. Yeah, Guel, like I said, very much he started off, and that's the cool thing. Guel is one of those characters where like I very much had a very divided, because a lot of people are like annoyed that they wasted so much time in Guel. I'm like, he started off as a jerk, jerk that he's just just full of himself. He's just full of himself, and he's just really frustrating on that front. But he grows and changes as the series goes on. Between just at one point he actually he proposes to Soletta, who then just ran away, literally ran away.
Yeah.
And at one point, but he kind of as time goes on, he's realizing he's not as amazing as he thinks he was,
and he
becomes humble.
Yep. Yeah, he gets a reality check,
and he also gets stuck on Earth for a bit.
He gets a reality check.
Yeah. And on top of this, the whole, what happened with his dad.
Oof.
Yeah. That
Holy crap.
Yeah, one of those things that, remember, did you forget, guys? This is still a Gundam series.
This is Gundam. Things are going to get really heavy.
Yeah, so he becomes a better person because of it all. But yeah, it's just he kind of takes a messy path to get there. And that's sometimes some people just kind of wind up going through pretty messy situations in order to become a better person, and just basically pray that you're not one of them. But yeah, he eventually goes from seeing Soletta as a rival, seeing Soletta as an ally and a friend, and that's one of the big things there. And also kind of like, why was he after Miorine? Did he really care about Miorine that much? Probably not. For him, it seemed like it very much was a power thing.
Yep.
And partially we see it was because his dad was pushing him for it.
Yep.
Because his dad wanted control of the group to the point of he was willing to assassinate, Miorine's dad.
Yep. Or attempting to, yeah.
Willing to. That's what I said. Willing to.
Willing to.
I wasn't able to pull through with it. Either one time he stopped short because the situation changed. Another time, well, it all went sideways.
Everything went sideways.
Boy, how did it go sideways?
Yeah, I think in the beginning, Guel. However you pronounce his name. Guel. Yeah, I think he's supposed to be, and the way they pull this off, he is like, what words am I looking for here? Supposed to be an opposite to, kind of like I don't know if foil's a correct term.
Foil's kind of close-ish.
He's supposed to be the opposite, but also act in a storytelling way, act as sort of a distraction for one of his story counterparts, who we haven't talked about yet. We will probably jump into quickly. Shattuck. Guel is the jerk kind of antagonist at front to Shattuck's very nice person. But we should talk about Shattuck because he's kind of important.
Shaddiq, yeah. Shaddiq is another. Yeah, Shaddiq Zanelli. He's
where Guel is antagonistic and kind of a jerk and self-centered and such like that. Shaddiq, it seems to be really nice and presentable and such like that.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of the opposite.
Mm-hmm. He's the guy who's going to stab you in the back, though.
And
he's being nice so he could find a good place to stab you.
Yeah.
Because it turns out he has his whole plan laid out that he was trying to do, and he tries to take control of the group. He tries to take control of the Benrick group forcefully. Doesn't go well, though.
It doesn't go well.
That's another thing I want to get into in a little bit after we get us through these characters. But he turns out he had all these little plans he was doing in secret, and had basically his own little small group of people he was willing to trust to, do these things for him and everything. And well, yeah, it's almost like a harem because it's all female too. And also Elan Karis.
Yes.
Elan.
Elan. Yeah, it's another weird one.
Yeah, it's Elan. He is
an interesting,
kind of an oddball because at one point he's enhanced. He's an enhanced person, and turns out he's also not the original Elan. Oh,
nope.
He's number 4. So he's Elan, and he's trying to get to Soletta because he's supposed to find out. It turns out Ariel, is a Gundam.
Yep.
And that's a bad thing because Gundams are illegal now, but they allow it anyway because money could be made.
Yep. Capitalism.
We made it illegal, but also actually, you know what? We'll make it not illegal. We can make some more money off it, and not avoid the whole money killing thing, which is we kill the pilots.
Yep.
So Alana's supposed to try to get close to Suletta, and first he's kind of intrigued by Suletta, and he actually kind of because he's thinking Suletta is like him because she's not really affected supposedly by the whole Gundam thing, and so she doesn't feel those ill effects, and then he's like, "Oh, you're nothing like me." Also, turns out that was wrong. Yeah, he's lying in which way he comes to actually respect Suletta, actually wants to get closer, and that was the thing. Was like a while for a while he's like, "Uh-oh, did we get baited?"
Yeah,
I remember a lot of people were freaking out because they were thinking, "Oh God, did we get baited?" Because Suletta and Yolanda getting kind of close,
and Suletta kind of liked him, but not quite that same way. But it was kind of ambiguous at first when they introduced it.
Yeah, and then because he failed his he actually lost the duel. That was one thing. He was dueling Suletta, and turns out he has got a Gundam too, and.
Oh, what was that one's name?
Farract.
Farract, yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, he lost, and then because of that, he got punished, and oh boy, the punishment was... That's the thing, he was talking about Suletta, he doesn't even have his birthday and everything. She's like, well, we just celebrate tomorrow, and then, they're going to meet, and then the whole thing, oh boy, that was a scene where they basically, it's pretty clear they killed him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's singing happy birthday to himself, and like, oh yeah, this stuff I was talking about, the whole trauma from the song Happy Birthday, because that's the second time they used it in a sad way. And then he was replaced with another Elan, number 5, who was a very different person.
Mm-hmm.
He's kind of more of he's actually closer to the real Elan, and he's like
suave.
He's all suave and stuff, and Soletta's like, ew, get away from me.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, and then he winds up kind of helping in the end. That was one of the guys that would have been kind of suspicious of him. But so there's that whole thing with Elan. And and then of course Earth House, all those weirdos. They are kind of weirdos. They are kind of weirdos.
They are kind of it's the misfit gang. That's a classic trope where you get the group of misfits who are actually really good at what they do.
Yeah, because again they're Earth, so Earthian, so they're all discriminated against, and that's just how it is. Because you got Chutari Panlunch, aka Choo Choo.
Choo Choo.
Yep, you knew Choo Choo. Yes, she has her hair done in such a way that look kind of like big ears, like say like a little monkey guy.
Yep.
But instead of him, unlike him, who's he's there basically kind of comic relief. She's there to hit people.
Oh yes, and hit people she does.
She get angry and hit people, and she does that. She's a very angry, very loud person, and for good reason. Again, Spatians have kind of ruined a lot of things for her.
Mm-hmm.
So she's a very angry, loud person, and she became kind of a fan favorite very quickly. She's fun.
She's a lot of fun.
She's also one of the few. We actually see piloting a mobile suit that doesn't fight Suletta in any real capacity.
Yeah, because most of them are all enemies.
She also gets to pilot at the end, and she's the only other one who gets to pilot something because most of them's like, I guess what, things will go bad if you pilot a mobile suit now. Regardless of who you are. Yeah, and there's also Nika Nanura.
Nika.
Yeah, she is kind of like almost, even though Martin, another character who he's mostly just a skittish, frightened little guy.
All right.
He's just trying to keep everyone safe, including himself, and he's trying to often just kind of doing the most safest possible way of doing everything. No one gets no risks, none of that, no risks, can't have risks. Anyway, he's officially the leader, but Nika's kind of unofficially the leader of Earth House. At least my reading of it. Yeah, she's a mechanic. She works in mobile suits. She's very much often the voice of reason in a lot of things. And then it turns out she's actually part of a group called the Dawn of Fold, which are this terrorist group.
Yep.
Oops.
Whoops.
And Martin also caught her communicating with him. I was like, what are you doing?
Yeah, that was the assassination attempt.
Yeah, that was fun.
Because it was because it was one of the other Gundams was about to wipe out the area there, and she sent the special message that, hey, don't kill me. I'm one of you.
I mean, there's a lot of characters, and they're all named, but I don't want to get super into this. There's a lot of them to the point of, I'll be honest, there's times like, I don't know who you are, but you keep popping up. but you don't really do much except occasionally a couple of times. It's one of those weird things. It doesn't help that I'm bad with remembering names.
Oh yeah. I'm horrible.
So yeah, there's a lot of those, and also there's Ghoul's brother Lauda. He's
Lauda, yeah.
He has a chip on his shoulder regarding his brother too, and everything. And particularly towards the end, where he and his brother literally fight, and yeah.
Fortunately, the brothers resolve their differences better than the resolution with Dad went.
Yeah, it went a little bit better.
Almost didn't. Came really close to ending the same way.
Yeah, but there's a whole lot going on there, but there's a lot of characters, and they don't really actually. They're mostly there as support characters. Like, they're just you got Shadiq's group, and you got the Jet Turk group, and so they're just kind of there to support the other characters. They don't actually do much.
Right.
Oh, there was a bit with Martin and what's her face? Cecilia. Yeah. Turns out he was like just sitting there like confessing to one of the little Harrow bots, and nope, surprise, she's there.
She's there. Yeah. She's
also there to be the porn shield for us.
Yeah, I was waiting for that one to come up.
Yeah, turns out she's the one that everyone, because that's why I said can't believe it is basically because her thighs are a couple centimeters thicker than every other girl's. Therefore, now every porn artist on the internet must draw her with hips 3 times wider than her shoulders. That's how it works. But just beyond that, there's really not a whole lot of characters that like they're named, they do things, but they're not that important in the long run, other than they supported these characters over here.
Like all the women in Bennett group that look like they've had way too much plastic surgery.
Yeah, the golden girls.
Yeah, the old women. Yes,
yeah, the golden girls.
Yes, the golden girls.
There's a couple characters showed up at the very end of season 1. Sophie and Norea.
Oh boy.
Yeah, they're 2 other witches, and they're part of the Dawn of Old, and they, Sophie in particular, really is enamored of Suletta. Kind of calling her, One-chan and everything.
Yeah.
They fight a bit, and they are very violent.
Very violent. They have a lot of pent-up frustrations and anger.
And eventually, both of them... Sophie dies, and then...
yeah, Sophie dies.
Then
Sophie's death was she just kept going, pushing until the Gundam killed her.
It was the whole thing. What the Gundam does is she burned herself out piloting the Gundam because she pushed herself too hard.
Yeah. The other one,
she got shot,
which sucks because
it looked like
she had finally given up, and things were getting better, and then someone else.
Elan was actually kind of all people was actually Elan, the 5th one, was actually kind of connecting with her.
Yep.
There's a whole thing there where he winds up finding her sketchbook, and now he at the epilogue we see he's trying to visit the places she sketched.
Yep.
Yeah, they're connecting, and that was one of the people who were surprised. Kind of one of those surprise pairings, I guess.
Yeah, it was. But yeah, that one sucks. It's like connected with her and got her to stand down, and nope, shot her anyway.
But then there's also one of them, what turns out to be one of the main antagonists of the series, Prospera.
Suletta's
mother. Oh boy, she is gaslight gatekeep girl boss.
Yep.
Full incarnation of that.
Holy crap.
Gaslight gatekeep girl boss all the way through. Like, oh my god, she constantly is manipulating people. It's like a lot of people, like, I've pointed out, like, her plans seem to hinge on very specific things happening. Like, her plan seems to hinge on Suletta running into Miorine and developing a relationship with her. It's like, I don't think that's the case, because a lot of people thought she was like a grand chess master. I don't think that's the case. I think what it is she's good at adapting to the ever evolving situation.
Yep.
She just adapts really well.
Yeah.
Manipulate further to her favor, because her whole thing largely was twofold: getting revenge on Delling
for killing
husband
and destroying all that,
and her her sensei and all that stuff, and to help her daughter.
Yep.
One of her daughters,
one of them, her real daughter.
Yeah, that's a big draw. It's one of those things. There's a lot of hints towards it, but the big reveal, which is Suletta is not the same little girl we saw in the prologue. She's not Eri.
Nope.
Eri, because particularly if you notice, like, Suletta is 17 years old. The prologue takes place 21 years before the main series.
And Eri was
Aries 4.
4th birthday. Those numbers don't add up.
Yeah, it's one of those things that kind of becomes clear. Yeah, Suletta is a clone of Eri.
Yep.
Eri more or less had to be, her body was transferred into a Gundam, Ariel.
Yep.
Suletta, when Suletta said Ariel's like a sister, she's pretty much closer than a lot of people might have assumed.
Yep.
Because Eri lives in Ariel, and with the whole thing with Suletta piloting it, it's able to get a higher and higher permit score until eventually Eri's able to basically not need a pilot anymore. And at that point, yeah, the big reveal, which is, oh boy, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's a whole thing on top of that, because the largest scene of Season 1 is just kind of more or less school shenanigans.
Yeah. You're
until the finale.
Yeah, until the finale.
When they have the terrorist attack, which is supposed to be its cover kind of for basically assassinating Delling. And that's when also Suletta...
Oh, no, you don't.
Yep. Suletta just... Mirine is with her dad, who basically has a piece of debris shoved through him.
Yep.
And she's trying to get him to get help. And one of the terrorists is like, well, has the whole, I'm not going to survive, but I at least can kill you.
You can at least complete the mission.
And then here comes Suletta in her mobile suit and just
splat
like a bug.
Yep.
It's like, oh, that was very sudden and visceral.
And then it got worse.
And then she gets out and covered in blood, asking
slips in the huge
and
amount
seems
of blood.
to be completely unaffected.
Yep.
By it. Are you okay? And Mirine is just freaking out. Not surprisingly, it's like, what's wrong with you? And calls her a murderer, and that's how the season ended.
Yeah.
For most of us, it was like, oh, hey, cool, we go months with that.
That was quite a way to end the season.
That's the whole thing. Is like literally minutes prior, people dying around Suletta made her freak out, but then suddenly her directly killing someone in such a visceral fashion,
gruesome, and then getting covered in the blood. Yeah.
And it makes it pretty clear that Prospera is doing something to her, because like she just gaslights her. That's okay.
Yep,
it's all okay. You don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, and the relationship between those two, it's like,
yeah,
they're very close to the point of going, this ain't right.
Yep,
this ain't right.
Wrong. The way Prospera talks to Suletta and everything, something about this is wrong. And Mirine eventually is like it was pretty clear she's trying to help Suletta. Can you not see that your mother is manipulating you?
Yep. But no, when you're that deep into it, like...
Yeah. And like she asked me, if your mother told you, would you do it? And she's like, yes. Yes, I would. And that Mirine just... And then eventually, then Prospera starts manipulating Mirine as well.
Yep.
Basically, the whole thing was like, it's like... And including who's basically like, as a whole sins of the father thing will apply to you. And it's like, ugh. And eventually more or less kind of manipulates Mirine into actually working with her, only for its surprise, all to blow up in Mirine's face.
Yep, use her basically as a scapegoat, but sort of a scapegoat, but also a...
Well, she's the patsy.
Yeah, got her to go do something that put things into place so she could go do something else.
Yeah. And then, Prospera killed a bunch of Earthians, and it looked like the Benneret group did it, and it looks bad. And
it was able to get her in Ariel to destroy a whole bunch of important equipment that would have stopped things.
Yeah.
Took out a whole bunch of mobile suits.
Because she's trying to do the whole Quiet Zero thing.
Yep.
The reason for Quiet Zero is they'll basically let Eri live in the world.
Yeah, they didn't explain that one. It's more Gundam space magic, but it's like this, I guess, extending the data storm across the whole area at such a level that Ariel can just exist in it all over the place or something like that.
It gives her, there's a whole thing there. She manipulates Mirine into this, including manipulating Mirine to protect Suletta, because Suletta should, get Suletta out of all this. Mirine basically breaks it off with Suletta.
Yep.
Through a pretty harsh way.
Yeah.
Telling Suletta not to lose this thing, and then they've shut down Ariel remotely. So Suletta then loses the duel to Guel, who then becomes the new because of that, and then she then goes on and then tells Soletta that she didn't. It was just a basically just a business relationship. You mean nothing to me.
Yep.
Ugh.
Yep. And you can see what's going on. It's like she's trying to do this to break
Mia,
it off in order to protect
you
Soletta.
see that beforehand, because Mia Rainey is the one with the she's got the remote shutdown, and you can see she's shaking. She doesn't want to do it.
Yep.
But she does it because in her head she has to, even if she has to hurt Soletta, she has to do it to protect Soletta and get Soletta out from the control of her mother.
Yep. Although that part alone isn't what breaks the control of the mother. It's what comes later.
Yeah, it's because after that, Soletta's kind of, I'm okay.
I'm okay. You are not okay.
I'm okay. You are not okay.
And the entire Earth group going, you are not okay.
I'm okay though.
You are very not
and
okay.
Then eventually, finding out from Aerie, we don't need you anymore. I don't need you as a pilot anymore. Prospera going, I don't need you anymore.
Yep, and that was the big one. We're gonna go to the station and meet with them and talk
you're
to
a clone,
them.
And also Prospera be like, I don't really. Basically, Prospera practically implying to that I never really cared about you that much.
Yeah, you're just a clone. You're not my real. Basically,
you're not my real daughter.
You're not my real daughter.
And and then just kicking her out into space, and that's that.
Yep.
And now Soletta's she thought she was at rock bottom before. No, now she's at rock bottom.
Yep.
Everyone basically everyone made it clear to her, you are useless, and I don't want you around my life anymore.
Yep. All the people that she put in such high esteem.
Yep. Broken.
And then the Earth incident happened.
Yep.
Which broke Mio.
Yeah, Mio's broken and they're separated, and
and poor Mio is just after that just always blaming herself. It's like, no,
it's all my fault.
No, you were a pawn. You didn't do this.
It's not your fault.
But no, it's my fault. I didn't know you
because she got manipulated by Prospera.
Mm-hmm. Prospera's
really good at that.
Very good at manipulating things.
Yeah, so that's what it took for Soletta to really, think for herself for once.
Yep. Sometimes that's what happens.
There was no more crutches, so she had to.
She had to be broken.
Yeah.
Her view of her relationship, her view of her mother and Ariel had to be broken. It was so hard ingrained. It was incorrect, but so hard ingrained.
Yeah.
Her entire foundation was built on that. So you had to break her down to that point to fix what was wrong.
Yeah.
And now she can build back up. And that's what that point was.
Then eventually they reunite. And they even had a kind of a her and Gould dueled again. And it wasn't a mock duel, it was a real duel, but she beat him.
Oh, yeah, with Gould, yeah.
Yeah, except it was fencing because
they didn't have mobile suits.
Mobile suits. Or if we do have, we shouldn't be using them for this right now. And she beat him, and she gets the title of whole. It's one of those things that's like, at this point, it has literally zero purpose. Mia Rainey is 17 already at this point. The whole system at this point, who cares? The schools had a terrorist attack, so the school's pretty much everything system in the school.
Yeah, well, I mean, what's her face that we talked about earlier who got sniped?
Yeah.
Decimated a huge section of the school.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But that whole thing, the whole system, none of that really matters, but it was one of those things where it's like, it's kind of a symbolic thing. Gould is basically signaling to Soletta that she has his full support now.
Mm-hmm.
And everything, and then meeting up to Mia Rainey is, who
has shut herself in her room.
Yeah, looking completely all just like, when was the last time you bathed? What day is it? That sort of thing.
What day is
it?
Yeah.
That will tell me, because I don't know. Yeah, you can just imagine that, they come to the door and, Slay gets the door, open the door. I could just imagine wall of just smell.
And release the Kraken.
But that whole thing, and from there you can see that's the thing about it. Soletta and Mia Rainey's relationship. Mia Rainey kind of often pretending she didn't care about Soletta that much. She totally cared. Like even back in season 1, before all this went really sideways, they started really confirming to each other that they really did genuinely like each other a lot, a lot. And because at one point Soletta also had that whole thing of I'm useless, and because they had that miscommunication. It's like, oh yeah, you don't have to take care of my garden anymore. I got hired people to do it for you. You don't have to worry about it. And Soletta turned to that. And Mirena is doing that because, oh, I don't want you to have to do this for me. I'm trying to do you a favor so you don't have to do this for me. And Soletta's like interpreting it as
You're trying to get rid of me, basically. Yeah.
And yeah, that's the whole thing. So that's one of the first early signs that Soletta really, puts a lot of her self-worth on how much people like her.
Yep.
And but then Mirena in a very Mirena way, just gets through to Soletta, through anger. And also just, I need you to, write me 3 meals a day and take care of my garden and all these, increasingly absurd demands is like, basically, I need you to, agree to meet with my absurd nonsense to basically show me that you are serious about this.
Yep.
It's very nice. And then the next episode happened and, Squishy Man and...
Squishy Man. It's just tomato juice.
It's just tomato paste.
Tomato sauce.
Yeah, then when they reunited, again, you see it's kind of like now Soletta's a little more independent and everything, and yeah, but we see those bits where Mirene's freaking out because Soletta is a little scared, but she's trying to be brave because like at this point, oh yeah, you're going to hide the Calabar now, which by the way, we called the monster because there is no filter, so you're just exposed to raw data storm stuff.
Yep. And there's no Airy there to
there's no
intercept
filter
it and protect you.
Yeah, so it's gonna, and yeah, she did it anyway. It's almost died. Yeah, and then that's the whole thing about the finale. It's a weird one because it's basically kind of space magic happened.
Yeah,
they defeat Prospera. They get, but then there's a laser, space laser.
Oh, by the way, there's a giant space laser now.
There's a space laser now, and they get shot up, and then Airy protects them, and it seems like Airy's dead. No, actually, no, she's not. She's not dead yet. She's
She's just mostly dead.
Mostly dead. It's like, yeah, Princess Bride. Mostly dead.
Mostly dead.
Mirene's mother, Nochet? I don't remember. But yeah, her name, I don't remember Nochet or Notret, or yeah, it's a very weird name, and also going through the filter of Japanese pronunciation.
Right.
But yeah, her, apparently, like, there's a whole thing where they found, like, the gene sequence with the tomatoes had a message from Mirena in it. And, like, then they used that message because, like, oh, hey, we have to, shut down the Quiet Zero. Oh, no, wait, crap. She was actually smart and she changed the password.
That never happens.
She actually changed the password so well. And then, like, oh, there's a bypass. And it was the message from Mirene's mom. And the whole thing shuts down. And, yeah, and then also, Soletta actually tells her mom, no.
Yep.
My mom's like, her mom does the usual routine. Hey, Soletta, I need you to do this thing. No. Huh?
Yep.
What? It also turns out, Prospera's kind of actually affected pretty badly by the whole thing. She's kind of losing, like, ability to walk and all that stuff.
Yep.
And,
what do they call it? They have a name for it, and I forgot what it was, but yeah, over time it does hurt you and leaves long-standing damage.
Yeah. And then Soletta's able to get to permit level 9 and then use the other Gundams and draw them in with Ares' help, and they kind of turn into basically a big old rainbow Gundam. And no, I'm not kidding about this, rainbows and everything. And then shoot a big old rainbow wave, and then all the permit Gundam stuff all dissolves away, and then they won.
They won.
Cause yeah, there's a whole space government thing where like, yeah, the Benneret group is like, they're too far powerful now. This is a problem because these people are going to die, and we don't want these people to die. But yeah, it's just, it all just dissolves away, and it's like Aries still alive somehow because she transferred herself into the little keychains that Soletta gave to Mirena, and little matching keychains of her and Mirena, and she transferred herself into that somehow. I guess that had electronics in it. How about that?
Sure, I guess. Don't talk about it. Just shut up and accept it.
Yeah. That's all. And there's also, and then Mirena and Soletta have their big reunion, and then again. And then we get the epilogue where it's like, 3 years later, Nika, who, after the whole thing, oh yeah, you're part of a terrorist group. She was in jail for it, but now she's out. You see, things going on, the various people, what they're doing now, like, running companies, and, the Benner Group has been dissolved and given to Earth people. They said there's a cynical thing of like, oh yeah, probably all of this is going right back in the Spatian hands. There's a bunch of hearings about what's happened to the Benner Group and all that stuff. And yeah, and we see Seleta, we see Murine, and she's got a little thing on the back of her neck. She's, she's able to talk to Ari, and Ari calls her, says, I'm your sister-in-law. And then we see they both have rings, and they're married. They
were
kiss them.
Roommate. I mean,
they were married. They're actually married.
Yep.
And
I mean, they were engaged, so
yeah,
I mean,
they're married. They're married, and they're living the cottagecore life.
Yep. And Seleta's in a wheelchair.
No, it's not. She had crutches.
Oh yeah, crutches.
Prospero's in a crutch.
Yeah, that's I got.
She has very white hair now. So oh dear, yeah, it's really
yeah.
And Seleta, then that's thing, yeah. Seleta's on crutches is one of the things she's talking about. How she's finally getting feeling back in her body. She's got scarring. If you very
you can see, and it's because that circuit pattern that shows up. Because whenever they hit certain level with the Gundams, they get these red markings, whatnot, that show up on their face.
But they're married.
But they never kiss.
They got their happy ending. They never kissed.
They didn't kiss on screen, but they did get married.
A lot of people are disappointed about that. But I saw something pointed out, which is the main couple almost never kisses in Gundam. Even when they're hetero, they almost never kiss.
Yeah.
And the Tolman pointed out, couples who do kiss, one or both of them usually die real quick. So it's like, maybe it's a good thing they didn't.
Maybe it's a good thing they didn't.
No, people are coping. That's one thing I kind of see, which is I would agree with, because a lot of people are like, there could have been a season. I don't think a season 3 is going to work. There's not enough left there. But an OVA. Like, say, I don't know, about their wedding, because people are hoping to see the wedding.
Yeah, that would be nice.
But
I mean, there's plenty for spin-offs.
I would not mind a little OVA, just kind of like, okay, like the interim between the ending and the epilogue,
which is not uncommon.
It's not. I would love to see that, and it would not be a bad thing. I think they know they could probably pull it off, and it wouldn't be a huge, it wouldn't be a huge thing. They don't have to commit to a full season in this one OVA.
It would be nice and see all that in a higher budget.
Yeah, it was nice to see this. It was the first fully blown a Gundam with a female protagonist. It wasn't the first one with a gay relationship, but it was the first one of those that it was the main relationship, and it worked out because a lot of people were like, one or both of them might die. And particularly at the end, oh god! I even got that far. It's like, the bit where it's like Seleta's just drifting in space and Murine's freaking out.
Yep. Yep.
I was where she dies. I was like, oh god! Don't tell me they got this far at the last second. Oh, thank goodness she's
still alive. Yeah.
That's one other thing I want to know about, because I don't want to get too long or too late on that one. One thing I love full circle stuff in fiction. So the beginning, Seleta and Murine first meet. It's Murine's drifting in space, and Seleta comes and gets her, rescuing her, thinking, but that wasn't rescue. And then here we come at the very end. Seleta's drifting in space, and Murine comes and get her.
Yep.
I love that.
It's like poetry. It rhymes.
I love that sort of thing when it's pulled off well. The other thing I also like, there's one thing I noticed, which in the first season, you notice all these characters are they're in their element. They're great at these things, piloting or financials or whatever.
Right.
They're so great at it in season 1.
Here's
and then comes season 2.
Everyone's out of their element and having to figure things out.
All these things that the adults come in. The adults come in who are just also experts in these fields. They come in and they just utterly clown on them. Like, Shadiq had these big master, multi-level chess move, chess level plans, all this stuff. The chess master plans of doing his thing in season 1. Season 2, they falls apart almost immediately.
Yep. Prospero just kind of nah.
Yeah, and stuff like that. Just Murine, who's this amazing financial business head for business and numbers and stuff, completely manipulated and making terrible decisions constantly until eventually she's blamed for this atrocity on Earth.
Yep.
Yeah, you're the president. Guess what? I mean, an adult had to come and swoop in and say, okay, we're going to take all the faults and you'll keep the group alive. You'll keep the Benner group alive because we'll take all the blame. stuff like that. So and Soletta even like not to the same degree, but Soletta it wasn't piloting. It was just Soletta's whole worldview was rocked.
Yeah, because Soletta didn't have like other than her piloting skills. She didn't have any like this is my field that I am really good at. It was her piloting skills and
a lot of them just got rocked, and that was the thing. So very different. Season 2 had a very different feel from season 1. Season 2 just kept building and building and building, and like it's just every single episode end is like I need to see, like every single. It was just for me. You were able to blow through most of it pretty quickly.
Yeah,
whereas me, I'm like watching it every week, and I'm like,
yeah, you get little drip here and then a little bit drip here.
It's like episode ends on a note, and it's like
Yep. Since I started watching almost when season 2 was, I think it was only like 2 episodes left when we started watching.
Yes.
Yeah, I was able to split up season 2 into 4 3-episode chunks. It lined up fairly well with the sub arcs. So I was able to leave off it's a little cliffhanger, but not that big of a cliffhanger. Yeah. And then jump to the next 3 so I don't have to sit on another major cliffhanger.
Yeah. So you watched it very differently.
Yeah. But, well, I mean, I had the opportunity to, so I took it.
Okay, and I'm just watching week by week and going and flipping out like everyone else is flipping out.
Yep. Yeah.
I need more.
Yeah, it's one of those you gotta kind of. If you wait to get into it, you don't have to worry about sitting on cliffhangers, but you worry about getting spoiled.
Yeah, that's a big thing. Yeah, because every Sunday I was like, I have to watch it as soon as possible, so no one spoils me on this.
I got pretty lucky on spoilers. I didn't see any major spoilers. There was a couple clips, like small scenes that I had seen,
like Choo Choo
punching the girl in the face. I saw that early, but that isn't like story spoilers there. She just opens up on her one shot and she's down for the count. Just collapsed on the stairs.
Just lying there. Oh, dude, she's dead.
She did. She's not dead.
Yeah.
She probably wishes she was.
Yep.
But yeah. The ending, the last few episodes were it did feel kind of rushed. The pacing picked up a lot and probably a little too much, but nothing horrible. It was noticeably more rushed than other things, but not to the point where it's like, oh, this was horrible. Yeah, it was still amazing.
Yeah, a lot of people knows we're still doing the whole, but they're not talking about this though. It's like, again, that's not the focus.
Right. So. And one of the things, I guess, focusing on the geopolitical topics going on, Earthians versus Spacians and the terrorist groups and such like that. I think one of the reasons that some people may have a focus on that and wondering why that wasn't resolved, because it was not resolved, was that there was a string of episodes that seemed really, really critical that did heavily focus on those. Like when Guel went to Earth.
Yeah.
That was a whole string of, okay, this is a big deal. And we didn't resolve that. So it kind of feels like they brought it up that it was critical and then didn't. So I can see why people over-focus on it. It's not it. The thing is, like I said, that's one of those topics that doesn't need to be resolved here because it isn't the primary story focus. It was that scene was to give Guel his wake-up moment so that he could be the better person when he comes back. So it served its purpose, but it was also used, that same topic was brought up again when Prospera and Mio went to Earth. The same topic, again, did what it was supposed to. But it's one of those, it's a topic that's constant through the whole thing, and they keep bringing it up. Yeah, so I can see why people focus on it.
Shakespearean thing of this, the world is there to inform the character.
Yeah, it totally is.
It's brought up a lot, but it's never really gone until we go into detail.
The fact that it is so important to the overall world, and it's so important to the setting, that some people are going to latch onto it and go, why? So that's why I don't think that they should.
I'm noticing what's happening is a lot of people also have this mindset of plot, very much plot centric. They want their story, they want their stuff to be very plot heavy, plot centric. That's the primary motivator for them, not the character stuff. So when they run into something, these are people who typically don't watch Yuri anime, and Yuri anime tends to be character centric because of what it is. versus
Yuri is
so
the
when they're
people,
watching
not the-
Gundam, which is kind of it still is character centric, but they could be coming into this, and they're people who like to watch things because they're not the characters are there to serve the plot, and so when they're watching something where the plot is there to serve the characters, they kind of their brain goes.
Yeah, and I totally get that because I'm definitely one who really likes world building and lore. I love world building and lore, and this has a bunch. Like the amount of spin-offs and such that you can do from this if you choose a different character and go focus on another spot. There's potential. Again, like the whole Earthians versus Spacians and the terrorist groups and how all of this, there is lore potential to explore in spin-offs. But that's going to be different characters. If you really want to explore that, you're going to have to change your main character. Yeah. So there's tons of potential here for that. And I absolutely love things like that.
Yeah. One other thing about this is it's kind of it's a lot of people kind of also kind of reject this sort of thing because it's so cringy, they say, but a large chunk of the theme, particularly in the end there, is the conquering well, the hate and all that stuff. It literally is the love conquering all thing.
Yep.
It literally is the power of hope and love.
Cheesy.
The love and power of hope and love. That's literally what saves the day. It's the power of hope and love. Like we get that scene where it's like
power of love and this giant gun I have.
They defeat Prospera and Miorine is doing the thing where she's basically saying I forgive you, even though she has literally no reason. To
None.
do that. She's still saying, I'll forgive you. I want you to be, we're going to be a family. Because we are going to be a family.
Yeah.
You, Soletta, and Harry, and me. We're going to be a family. And she's holding her hand out. It's like, she has literally zero reason to forgive, and yet she does it anyway. That's kind of the whole point.
Her holding her hand out to Prospera, isn't that the same pose that Soletta does to her covered in blood, which is the same pose that Prospera does to Soletta when she's kiting in the... It's
and also Soletta did it again when Miorine was at her lowest point in season 2. She did hold the hand out.
I'm not covered in tomatoes.
Yeah, and that's kind of the whole thing. It's, again, it's the theme of love and hope persevering and conquering over hatred and cynicism and whatnot.
Yeah, because that's one thing about Prospera is that she doesn't start out, she's not like an evil character. Her goals are not, self-centered evilness.
No.
They're just, she's broken.
Yeah.
She is mentally and emotionally broken from the events that she had to deal with from 21 years prior, from the attack on station.
All but lost her daughter.
Yeah, she lost her husband in a horrible attack that should never have happened, in a huge act of violence. That's massive amounts of trauma. And then her daughter practically dies and now lives in the robot, and so she's broken. Yeah. And she's acting out as part of her brokenness.
Granted, it doesn't entirely excuse what she did.
Oh no, it does not excuse. When I say this, it's not
understandable.
Yeah, this is like, I can understand someone's reasons and go, I understand why you did that. You were wrong for doing it, but I understand it.
Yeah.
And that's what this is. But that's like, okay, now that you understand where she's coming from, we can work through this. And that's what this was. It put Prospera down to her lowest. Well, it once again, I guess, broke her again. But
because a couple people kind of were surprised as Prospera was able to just kind of live a quiet life with Soletta and Miorine. But she's can more or less rebuild. It has to probably rebuild a lot of relationship there. A lot has to rebuilt, and we don't know the exact details. I didn't really into it. The other thing was all the Sadiq kind of took the fall for a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
so everyone else would kind of come out scot free. Well, most of everyone else.
Yeah.
But yeah, he kind of took the fall for a lot of it. It's that was kind of his, I guess, form of penance of sorts.
Yeah,
he just took the fall for more things.
Fall.
And there's a vague implication they might execute him. They don't really get into what his punishment is exactly, but they kind of impossible. The one of the lines he said to Miorine when she saw him when he was imprisoned was kind of one implied that he'll never see her again.
Yeah, I hope that. Well, again, there's not going to be a sequel to this.
Probably not,
unless they touch on it in some sort of spin-off.
Yeah, there could be a spin-off thing, but
I hope not, because it's like, he was not a good person, but he's also not irredeemable.
Yeah,
especially with the ending and such like that. I don't think there's very very many people at all in this that I could really consider irredeemable.
Yeah.
Because, like, for the most part, even the people who did the horrible thing, like, they thought they were doing the right thing. For the most part. There was a couple. But,
I mean,
yeah.
Vim died, though. Thanks to Quill.
Yeah.
Quill killed his own dad.
He's like the only one because his entire purpose was definitely just personal gain.
Yeah.
All the things he did was just personal gain.
And then because can contact, Vim starts fighting Quill, who's in a mobile suit, and you think, oh, he's a bad guy. He's, no, I'm not. And nope. And then, yep.
Yeah, and Ghoul didn't even realize it was his dad until the very end.
Lauda fight each other, and like it looked like it was going to be the same thing. And then Felsi came along. No,
nope, you're done.
You two idiots are not dying for a stupid squabble, sibling squabble. No,
all because he just didn't quite understand what happened between Ghoul and his dad.
Yeah.
All he heard is you killed him.
Yeah. And then on top of that, whole social personalism has been brewing for years.
Yeah.
Clearly, like this is a general sense of inferiority.
In short, pretty much every person that shows up needs therapy.
So, like all on the Gundam.
Yeah.
Everybody needs therapy.
And if they didn't before, they do now.
Hey, did you know war is bad?
Did you?
But cool robot.
Cool robot.
But that's the game. That's always been the other side of that meme, which is actually also you're all supposed to go cool robot and buy the stupid Gunpla.
Yep.
You're supposed to do both.
You're supposed to do both. War is bad. Also buy our toys.
Also buy the toy. It's pretty cool. It is pretty cool.
I was just thinking, the real Elan.
Yeah.
He shows up a couple times.
Yep.
And then just isn't.
He's just a douchebag.
Number 5 just kind of takes his
He's just a douchebag who shows up. You're currently in it for the money.
Yeah, and then he just kind of disappears.
On 5, I like it at the end. If you look at this little message he left, was like, "I hate you guys. I'm out." His resignation. If you can zoom in, it says, "I basically, I hate you idiots. I'm out."
Yeah. Didn't they? Which is weird. I could have sworn they kind of cut him loose earlier during like the whole all the attacks, because I vaguely remember saying something like, yeah, he didn't fulfill his purpose either, and just but they also didn't kill him because everything else was going to hell.
Because that those 4 old ladies are trying to basically take control of the Bennett group, and then surprise, he's all dissolved. He's like, yeah, I resign.
Peace.
I don't really like you people. I'm out.
Yeah.
And that was the rest of but a lot of stuff unresolved, but it's not really important to the story, which is Mirai and Soleta. It's about Mirai and Soleta, and
but yes, it was very good, very
wonderful,
very good.
I loved it. I loved the whole thing. Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff. We're probably over the next few months. Probably we're going to talk about start poking holes in it, but it's still fun. It's still wonderful, and I am glad I watched it.
Yes, I am very glad I watched it. It's very, very much worth watching. It's one of those must watches.
Anyway, since we're running really long,
we are getting really long.
Upset because this is going to take a lot to edit. We're going to go ahead and cut it off here. If you did enjoy our talk on this anime, you can check out our talks on other anime and other episodes. Go to newtoweeaboo.libsyn.com. It's spelled Libsyn. And you can check out other episodes there. All 100 of them in the past and all the other ones that will be coming in the future. You can also go to Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and Amazon Podcasts, and search for us on those if you want, and subscribe via those methods. If you want to contact us, you could do so newtoweeaboo@gmail.com. Contact questions, comments, recommendations, what have you. And of course, you can also follow us on a couple of media pages. I'm not going to run through all of them every single time, but okay. So we have a Twitter. We're at newtoweeaboo. We're now also on Mastodon. We're also at newtoweeaboo on Mastodon's a social. We're on co-host, cohost.org/newtoweeaboo. And we're on Tumblr, tumblr.com/newtoweeaboo, or newtoweeaboo.tumblr.com. Either one of those will work.
Yep.
If you want to follow any future social media and whatnot, and adjustments will be made, newtoweeaboo.libsyn.com/contact. They will all be there.
Yep.
As time goes on, because Twitter is no longer the place that it's going to work out super well in the future.
Twitter's just falling apart even more. So
So more work for me though, because I have to now put this on multiple
Yeah.
sites.
yeah,
And of course, the scheduling feature broke a few weeks ago, so that's that.
yep.
Then you enjoy, so you can follow us on all those things. We're still also on Twitter. I'm at Nemesis Prime 1. He's at Alcatraz717 _ at the end. Yeah. Probably plugging something else down the line, but that's it for now. So, yeah. Join us next time. We'll be talking about the original Black Rock shooter.
Yeah.
Not the new one on Hulu.
Yeah, haven't touched Dawnfall.
New-ish. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't touched Dawnfall
The
yet.
original VA in series.
Yep.
So we'll talk about that. We'll see what that's like. And yeah, we'll be doing that. So anyway, that's it for this one. Again, hope you enjoyed. Hope you stick around. Hope you have a good summer. And goodbye.
Bye.